painting feels sunny because most of it is in shadow. That sounds backwards, but that's exactly why the light works. The contrast is really the story of these paintings. Sunny wall is where our eyes goes first, but the dark passage is what it makes it feel like we are standing in the shade looking towards the light. And we don't need to paint every stone or every texture. We just need enough information for the viewer to feel the sunlight. Hi, I'm Beatriz. Welcome back to my studio where I teach realistic looking watercolors and simple step-by-step system. I am very excited about this one because it's such a good reminder that watercolor doesn't need a whole lot of detail to tell a full story. So what are we waiting for? Let's start painting. Start doing wet on wet, and the part that is dark, the archway, and then the colors are gonna be cerulean blue and cobalt blue. Starting by dropping cerulean blue, and that's part of the arch. If you want the tracing and the reference pictures, they are in my Paint Alone pack in Patreon, and I will link it below. This cerulean blue, I picked both cerulean and cobalt blue because both of them are granulating colors, meaning I want to have a little bit of texture on these walls, but I don't want to create it too much. That is because I want the pathway and the light, the contrast between light and shadow, to be the focal point of this painting. This part is going to be slightly darker, so when it's a little bit darker, I put more of the cobalt blue. And when it's a little bit lighter, I let more of the cerulean to show. Yes, let me tell you, this painting is going to go through an ugly stage. Push through it. I resist the temptation of thinking that it's not good. Sometimes while these colors blend, and before we start bringing details, it doesn't look that pretty, but all these foundations are needed. It's going to bring more diluted cerulean, and we're going to apply it on this part of the wall, which will be the transition between the more shadows and the big light. Right now, I think I'm going to allow this to dry naturally before we come for the second round. You can see I didn't lie when I told you we'll go through an ugly stage, but we're going to bring it out of this little by little. Next step is to put some of my darks. So this is cerulean blue with a neutral tint. And we're going to start putting this other arch around here. Obviously, I allow this to dry before I'm coming with this color. Of course, if we do it on one, we have to do it on the other side as well. Darker here. And now we're starting to make more like extra arches. I have this color in my brush. I'm diluting it a little bit more. And then we're going to go ahead and start putting some of the areas that will be in shadows so they start making more sense. In this bottom step, it will be kind of halfway. And then we just covered it up. This is kind of like an underpainting of the dark. Once more, we allow this to dry. Last thing to do is I'm making a glaze. Glaze meaning diluted color. This is neutral tint, but Daniel Smith and cobalt blue. And now I'm gonna glaze all of this all over so that I can unify the different parts. After that, we can go ahead and start working on the light. Because this is gonna be a little time consuming, I'm gonna put it on time lapse. All right, so this has dried beautifully. Now the painting is ready to move on to the part that really catches the eye. So let's just move this out of this ugly stage. But remember, this part is only gonna work because we already built all the shadows around it. Colors, we're gonna start with a queen gold, and I'm gonna add a tiny little bit of magenta just to put a little bit peachy. And I'm only gonna wet in the middle. I don't need to wet around the edges because I don't want all this blue to be activated. I want to keep this warm, but not too orangey, because sunlight can feel warm even when the color is very gentle, especially when it's surrounded by cool colors like in these blues. Okay, if I put a little bit more in here or there, kind of sort of like if it is giving me texture, but with color. And for the steps, I'm gonna put less and less because usually when the sun really hits something, especially in the middle of the day, it kind of washes out all the color and it just looks almost white. I am gonna bring it a little bit into the shadow because that's just gonna unify and let our eyes know that all of these are steps. It's just that some are in the shadow and some are hidden by the sunlight. This part still has not completely dry, so let me drop a little hint at the bottom here of magenta. And the bottom, I'm gonna put a little bit on the top. Again, what I'm trying to do with this is just give the impressions as if some texture is here on the wall. So now all the inside dries, I'm coming here and darken the outside arches because when I put my glaze, it feels like if they kind of got a little bit more diluted, but I want to put one that is a transition between those two. This is I'm coming with indigo and neutral tint, more diluted now than before. Okay, so with the same colors that I use for that, tiny little bit more onto the magenta, I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this kind of window that is here. It's a little bit of detail. We're not gonna have a whole lot of details in this painting, but this part over here, I feel like it needs to break this big wall. Otherwise, it's just too much. So this painting does not have a whole lot of details, but the ones that we have are important. Like for example, I have a couple shadows here. I'm gonna put them on right now because I still have it on my palette wall, and then it will come a little bit onto the ground. So the other direction. Slightly other shadow around here, not as dark, but one here too. So let me go with that and then let it go from more to less. I was having a window over here that I kind of lost it, so let me try to redraw it so that I can put it back. Sometimes the graphite, especially when we put several washes, it kind of gets so thin now that it's kind of hard to see. So it's nothing major, but I feel like I need to break this part a little. So let's, plus it was there in the reference picture and I liked it. So now I'm gonna go with the color over there, the indigo with neutral tint. A little bit more on the indigo. I want it to feel almost black here. So I'm gonna fill this up. I'm gonna allow a couple lines as if there are bars or something to make it look more like a window. So how do I do that? By painting around it, almost like a negative painting. I'm not gonna overdo it, just drop it for right now. And then I need to keep reloading, otherwise my color starts getting lighter and lighter because I'm spreading the color. And I want to keep it dark all the way. Let me switch to a different brush. So I've been using 2. Let me switch to a 1 so that I can have a tiny little bit more control. So I want this and the top a little bit darker to give the impression that it's going deep. The bottom one, I'm gonna make it all pretty dark. All right, and now that I have this, switch again to a different brush, a bigger brush. Now that I have that, I'm going back with a bigger brush, a little bit of the lighter color. I mean, same colors, however, just more diluted. And then I'm gonna put this as if it is in a shadow. And then here at the bottom, just coming with water. Only with water. This is a little bit too bright, so with this same color from here, I'm gonna bring it inside. Well, a little bit of a difference, but not so much. That looks more natural. That looks a lot better. Okay, darker colors here. By that I mean more burnt sienna. I'm gonna do the same thing. Make this window look like if it is deep. So the darker color goes inside. Like this, and this part over here will be a little bit dark too. Now that I have that, I come with only water and bleed a little with a little bit of gray. You can use a gray that you mix. You can use, in this case, I'm using neutral tint, very, very diluted. And now I just come with water and I'll let this. And now I'm moving to one of the most important part of the picture, which are the steps. Yes, this painting is about light and shadow, but the steps are the thing that connect them both. The one who guides our eyes to go from one thing to the other. For example, coming with brown sienna and mixing with burnt umber. And if I put a tiny couple little lines, it's gonna read like they are part of the stone. Like I said, the steps is what it guides the eye from going from the light to the dark and putting it all together. So if I come with some of this dark, and then right away I come with a little bit of water. We're gonna build a little bit of crevices, a little bit of darkness here and there to make it look like they are all ancient stone. Already guiding our eye inside. Now, some of them will be here on the side of the wall, and that kind of gonna be enough to separate also the steps from the wall. I'm gonna continue to build maybe till this step, then we will come back and put the shadows. There is also shadows into these areas, but since I have this in my brush, let me put a few of them. Yes, I am coming with a fairly thick paint. For this one, I'm just coming with a little bit more of the neutral tint, making it slightly more dark because it's in shadow. All right, I think that I'm gonna stop over here, make it a stopping point, and then we're gonna finish this part. I diluted brown sienna with neutral tint. This first one I wanted a slightly warmer, so I'm also going to the mix of the queen gold that I was having before, and we're gonna start putting these steps, so that makes sense. If the sun is hitting the surface, these ones be in shadow. Plus a little bit of this one come over here, a very little. For this other set of steps, a little bit of the same color here, but I'm gonna start to cooling it down, meaning there will be more in shadow, so we will have to start bringing a few more of the blue. So let me get some of these blues. Okay, there it goes. So let's just go like that. Again, we bring it all the way to the edge, and with these kind of blue shadows, we're gonna bring some over here too. Now that's dark, obviously. I go now top, a bit of these blues. We're gonna put some here, some of the magenta queen gold right away, and then just water. All right, now all of these will be in shadow, so let's just start applying the shadow here. A little more brown. There it goes. And here top, blend this out. I'm coming here with a very thin brush, and I'm trying to put a few of these thin. This is still wet, and that's what I'm coming right now to give it a little bit of fuzziness, kind of like blending, if you will. Then we will come with the things to separate, like the thicker, like here is a big gap. Well, that it can be put once it's drier. Take some of these, and then I'm going to put a couple of lines here, almost like dry brush, okay? And maybe the opposite direction. Okay. Here too. And here. Now we start building this part. The part at the bottom is always darker, so I'll put this. I want specifically to be thicker and thinner in some other places. The color is very relative, so now that I put these very darks, these almost disappear. So I'm gonna have to come and darken it up a little bit more once again. This is what I'm doing right now. It's almost like glazing again. Just go with my blues, bringing it out. Because this is already in shadow, our shadows are gonna have to be even darker. So I'm coming basically with neutral tint, but that it has a little bit of indigo on it. Because this part is the part that is gonna be the lightest. So come with water, make it lighter, like that. And now with the indigo, mix it with the neutral tint, come with water and then light it up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting, you know, the shadow. Well, we need to have one over here so that it looks like they are steps. Continue to make these separations between one black and the other by coming with very dark color. Okay? So I have one out there, another one there. Now I'm coming with this one, and we will even have a last one here. I want to have a little variations like some of that color that we were having shows, but obviously this part needs to be the darkest. So dark, dark, dark. And for this last one here, I'm trying to do a bridge that is some of this color and then I start going into these colors. So I come with the dark color in this part. And only with water, I'm gonna go from the opposite direction into here so I have blending. But if I try to make this color again, I won't be able to. I want it to be slightly darker, so I go like this, bring this one. And then once again, I go into the other direction. Have a full blend, like part of the shadow from these rocks of the stairs that we paint. We are not painting, we're painting around it in this dark color next to that one. Then we are, they are reading, they're looking as if they are lighter. And that's gonna come up here and here and a little bit inside this part. But here now I'm coming with a little bit of water because it's gonna go from more to less to disappear. Let's just finish putting all of these essence shadows. Once we have this, we can see how much or little to put on the rest. I drop color. All this part like this will be almost in a big shadow. More indigo. Let's just put like some is coming like this. More straight. That I want to do like guiding the eye. Let's just do a little bit of water here too. And if sometimes the water is enough, and if not, then you can grab a little. Obviously, closer to the steps, it's gonna be shadow. So these parts, I'm gonna put them all dark. A little more dark. Drop some here while it's wet. Let the water do the magic. I could never do it as good as the water does. And we're gonna let this blend. This is looking really good. We got the light and the shadow really well established. The only thing is this part over here is a little too pristine. Doesn't look natural to me. So now we had to build a little bit of a texture. So queen gold with a little bit of the magenta. I'm gonna do some dry brush, meaning I'm taking some of that color out. And then we need to get some, especially here at the bottom. And probably where these two different type of walls meet each other. So, okay. In some areas, I know that I got too much. That's okay. If I go with water, and then I wet a little, some of this gets less noticeable. However, I like it. So this cerulean, again, I take some of this out. And then I'm going to build a little bit of texture here and there. Slightly darker now that I see it. I'll have to go darker and then just go with water. We build texture, we do it in two different ways. We do it by bringing color, but we also do it by taking away, by lifting. Let my cotton paper open, the fibers of the paper open by putting the water. And I come with a tissue and then I lift. Same, in this case I'm using a harder brush, right? And I'm using my light brush. Then I don't want it to be all even, so go back and forth in a couple places, back and forth. Again, I go with my tissue. Now it's starting to get texture, light texture. So we're gonna be alternating between lifting, making it lighter, and then coming with a few darks and darkening some areas. So this part is all in the dark. Again, I don't want it even, okay? We're trying to add a little bit of texture. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna wet. Now I'm gonna bring the color, and I don't wanna go any farther than that. Go with the water or with your finger and find a good stopping point. Right now we were having the values, the colors, but now we are giving them the shape. We're getting them volume, okay? So let's just wet a couple places here or there as well. I just go with water, but I'm not pushing, okay? I just dropping. I'm coming with the dark colors, and I'm gonna drop a few. And now this part is gonna meet with this other that I wet ahead of time. I'm gonna go till about this window, and once again I'm gonna drop little darks, especially here. But I don't need to have all of this even darker. As a matter of fact, it still is slightly too dark. I don't know why I have this kind of light line there. So this one I'm gonna try to cover it up. Okay, now we got the darks. Now we're gonna put lift, so we can get texture by darkening and lifting. Let's just see if we can get it here. We have quite a few layers already, but let's just try. So I go around here. This part here is gonna have to be lighter, and that's now I have the tissue. I can just pat, or I can pat and lift. I'm not getting too much. I'm getting a little bit, but not as much as I wanted. So let's go to plan B. I have some white. This is watercolor white. You have to have a gentle light touch with this, okay? Now go with water, and because like I said, I'm using watercolor, all of this is going to be transparent. I'm not using opaque acrylic or wash dry, so it's going to dry even lighter. I had to lighten this up. For that, I want to wet it. That I want wider is the one that separates this arch. Not this one at the bottom, but this. Let me go with the brush so you can see it. This is the part right here. This is my silver Bristol, and it's called Bright. And these ones are the ones who lift a little without damaging the paper. It's not a scrubbing. It just lifts enough, but it doesn't damage your paper. You see how this was all flat, and by putting this light, these highlights are here. Now I have give form to the arch. You see how this is making a turn? Just putting the right lights and the darks where it makes the most different, the most sense. And now I can go with the paper and lift with the tissue. Obviously, I don't want all of this gone because this is in the shadow. I want that shadow out there, okay? I really don't think that I need to do much more. Maybe need to come a little bit darker here and here. Just a little textures. I think at this point I'm gonna darken this shadow a little bit, kind of like another shadow somewhere around here, so that these two don't feel so lonely. What is it? Maybe it's something here that we are not seeing, and it's bringing the shadow to it. And perhaps This is a little too even, it's bothering me, so it's coming out of the bottom. Maybe between these two walls, but just not there. I don't want to do it like everywhere. Sometimes it's better not to overdo it. So at this point, maybe a good time to remove all this dirtiness and see where we stand. Now that I removed the tape, we can see how the painting comes together much better. The sunlight is what catches our eye, but the dark arch is what it makes it feel bright. And these steps are so important here because they connect the shadow and the light and guide the eyes inside this scene. So this lesson is not only about how to paint the stones perfectly. It is to decide where the stronger contrast needs to be, and then use just enough detail to lead the viewer through this painting. If you would like to continue to paint with me, I'm going to leave you here with a few other videos. Also, the Paint Along pack is in my Patreon, where you get access to line drawings, templates, and the reference picture alongside colors I use for this video. I hope you learned something with me today. If you like what you see, press the subscribe button. I thank you for being here, and I will see you in my next video.